Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I want to talk about how I got spousal permanent residency for my wife. We got married December 17, 2022. And then as a permanent resident, I already got my permanent residency earlier that year, January 2022. So I went back to Nigeria. Long story short, we got married and then I came back to Canada in January 2023. So I decided to take, the sweet chance of being able to get my spouse to get permanent residency just like I did. So I had to go to the website, just Google sponsor your spouse. I'm going to put the link out there as well. It begins with getting a checklist, for your country. They ask you who you are sponsoring your spouse. You say which country. So they give you a list, and it's important to know that there are two types, two classes for application is the family class or your spouse in Canada class. If the person is in Canada with a temporary residency visa living with you in Canada, you can actually get the person to, you can apply under that class. But if the person is outside Canada or although he is in Canada, he will not be in Canada for the duration of the application, can apply under the family class. This is what they refer to as outland, while the other one of living with the spouse in Canada is referred to inland. Inland applicants can actually get work permits while their application for permanent residency is pending, but outland cannot get it. So my spouse fell into outland, so I applied under the family class. So what are the important documents we provided? It's important we know that I supplied things like her birth certificate, as well as police certificates. You need police certificates of all the countries that the person has lived in for 6 months and upwards. So in the case of my spouse, she hadn't lived anywhere else outside Nigeria. So we provided police certificate from Nigeria. And then you have to fill all the digital forms. They are very, digital forms to fill. They are all there in the application. Please don't omit anyone in the checklist. There's a checklist that will be part of what you upload when you are done. That checklist keeps you, guided to make sure you're not missing out on anything. And make sure you fill out everything, because I submitted first on February 2nd, 2023, and my application was returned because I missed out some detail in the additional family information form. Please be careful, don't miss out anything. If you need document review for your application, feel free to chat me up. Please don't miss out anything. If you miss out anything, it can lead to delays. And when you are in Canada and you're missing your spouse, it's not really easy. I remember having to travel back to Nigeria just to visit my spouse. So back to the point, the document checklist, make sure that you don't miss out anything. But for supporting documents, there are documents that have to actually accompany this. You have to provide if you're a permanent resident or a citizen. By the way, it's only permanent residents and citizens, and of course indigenous people in Canada, that can sponsor their spouse to come to Canada. It's important to know that a permanent resident must be living in Canada to be able to sponsor the spouse, but a citizen can sponsor the spouse living anywhere, but has to provide proof, have to show that he is willing to come back to Canada immediately after the application. Okay, so there are some other people that are not allowed to sponsor. Maybe you sponsor somebody in the past 3 years, or if you have sponsored somebody in the past 3 years, there are a number of people that are not allowed to sponsor, but let's not get into that. So you have to provide your PR card or your proof of citizenship, as the case may be, and then the person you're sponsoring has to provide their birth certificate, their international passport. If you have children, you have to provide documents for the children, like their birth certificate and things like that. Then you have to provide civil status, document that proof that you are married to the person. I had to provide marriage certificates. I got a solemnization of my marriage in the registry, Federal Marriage Registry in Ikoyi, Lagos, so that I could provide a document that is acceptable to Canada. So I got that. And then you need to provide, if you visited your spouse, you can provide airline tickets, proof that you've actually traveled to go see the spouse. You may need to also provide proof of contact, like chats, text messages, letters, emails that you've been in touch with each other. So I was able to provide, chats, WhatsApp chats. WhatsApp has timelines. So I was able to show, from long ago when we started the relationship, I showed the chats. I got screenshots of many of those chats, just selected. It cannot exceed 10 pages, so maximum of 10 pages. So I was able to form a collage, and then I arranged those pictures of chats, to provide proof of contact. Then you have to provide other documents like, pictures from the marriage, and pictures from the wedding and all that. You can also provide, as long as you provide a certain number of limit in the checklist you're going to see, you provide a certain amount of this information, then they can trust you. You must not provide everything. Everybody's case is usually different, so you also provide, documents that prove, like I provided attestation letter from my family members and from her family members that know about the relationship. Also, like, you can provide important documents that prove relationship with each other. For instance, employment benefits, insurance benefits. If you've listed her in your benefits, is a proof, is an important document. Or, something that shows public status, public status of that relationship. For instance, I had to get social media on Facebook and Instagram where we declared that we are married. So I provided that document. That goes a long way, and so such things, you provide those documents that prove further support, further proof that you guys are married apart from the marriage certificate. And so another thing that you have to look out for as the sponsor, because you are showing that you can sponsor the spouse, that you can take care of the spouse, so you have to provide proof of funds. So if you're living in Canada already, you're working. If you're working, you can provide notice of assessment, from the Canada Revenue Agency, that shows how much you earned in the previous year, or you can provide employment letter, pay stubs. So in this process, you can provide more documents. Please don't provide less. Provide as much as possible. It goes to prove, that you're good, so that you don't have to do much back and forth, so you don't delay the application and further live apart from each other. So that's proof of funds for you. In my case, I wasn't working in Canada, so I just provided funds in my account, some millions. I went and checked what is required in express entry. In express entry, they require certain amount for two people. So I use that as a guide. I put the equivalent in my account and show that as proof of funds, and it was accepted. Okay, so just watch the document checklist and make sure you don't miss out on anything. So by the way, there was a policy. This is just, a free advice. There was a policy that came in place that after you apply and get your acknowledgement of receipt, if you get that you can apply for your spouse to visit you in Canada. So I used that to get my wife to get her visitor's visa. So after AOR, then we could apply for her to visit, and she got the visa. Although she did eventually use it because she eventually got her permanent residency, and that was what she used to come over to Canada. Okay, so how does it go? After you have finished completing the application, pay the fees, upload all the documents and submit, you're going to get the first stage. The first stage is AOR, acknowledgement of receipts. If something is missing in the documents, they are going to return the application back to you to complete what is missing. In my case, the application was returned back to me on March 14, 2023, because I missed some information in the additional family information. So I felt I had talked about my spouse many times. In the additional family information, when the spouse was asked about, I failed to provide information about the spouse. That is me, right? On behalf of, my wife is the principal applicant. So I failed to provide my information in the additional family information, thinking I've already provided it elsewhere. So don't miss out anything in the form to avoid the application being returned to you. But if something is not applicable, you can write NA on not applicable. Okay, so after that, you get your AOR. Then you're going to get sponsor approval, another letter showing that the sponsor has been approved. After that, that's when you then start getting, they now go into background check for the principal applicant, which is the spouse that wants to come to Canada. So they begin background check. Somewhere along the line, they were asked for medical tests. So what we did, after getting acknowledgement of receipt and sponsor approval, my spouse, I asked her to go and do an upfront medical. So we booked for an upfront medical. When they did the test and uploaded it into the web form, we did that so that somewhere along the line they sent a request for medical. So but by then we had already done medical, so we just uploaded the form again, showing the information sheet, showing that we've already done medical. I think this makes your journey faster, so you don't have to start the process of booking medical test when they've already asked you to go for medical. But if you've already completed the medical upfront, you're good to go. At least that stage, you don't have to bother anymore. So after the medical was passed, you have to also link the application. Maybe I do another video for that. You have to link the application. After getting AOR, you create an online account and GC key and link the application so that you'll be seeing everything going on in the application. So that's it. After medicals was passed, because I was now tracking it. You can also use a tracker to keep tracking it. After the medical was passed, around August, September, the medical was passed. By November, she got her passport request, and then we sent the passport request through Kenya Visa Office. They got the passport, and soon afterwards, they sent it back with the COPR arrival letter, and then she used it to move to Canada. So that's it. If you have further questions, you can just ask in the comment section. I'm here to help, to answer questions, to help the journey go for you. I've helped other people in the process. Feel free to chat me, to drop a comment, and I'm going to clarify. There is so much you can say in a video, but if you need further clarification, feel free to leave a comment. Please like this, this YouTube content, share, comments, thumbs up. Thank you. Please, I'm going to make more videos to help you in your journey, your Canadian journey, and as well life here in Canada. So please subscribe, stay in touch. Thank you. See you next time.